Hello and welcome back to the channel, everybody. I don't know why I said it like that, but let's have some fun with it. Also, I've got a cough drop in my mouth to try to clear up my sinuses, so if my voice sounds a little funny, that's because of that. Alright, so we are going to go back into the realm of requested standard Arcana spotlights. And one that came up that I intentionally passed over because I got a request for it is Fractal Flare. And as you can see, the actual attack itself doesn't do a ton of damage, but it does linger in place there for a little while, and it's got a very fast cooldown. So let's put on a different robe and I'll show you exactly how it works. Here we go, this one will work. So it has a 4-second cooldown, and it's basically, I believe the damage is 5 for all of the different bursts, and then 10 for the final one. Let's put on something that's not adjusting my damage and find out. Yep. So whereas the damage isn't gigantic, what you're getting out of this particular spell is a decent amount of control because those explosions just linger in place for quite a while. It is a plenty good spell that I really like using, especially because of its short cooldown. So let's put this on a high tempo build. And since we're doing high tempo, we're going to want to take some things that we can throw out frequently without too much trouble. Now, what exactly then? There you go. Thing is, Earthquake Axe. Well, no, that's right, because you want to throw out the Fractal Flare and then use the Earthquake Axes. Alright, no, we've got ourselves a plan here. We'll use that. Alright, so we've just got ourselves a very direct sort of build. But I think we're good here. Now, even though we have a build that's on paper pretty good, remember the primary focus is Fractal Flare, and we're going to be talking about that as we go through the run. Obviously, that's kind of what this whole thing is about. So I hope everyone has been doing well lately. I've found myself, very much to my own surprise, really getting into RoboQuest. Obviously, the last couple of videos have been on RoboQuest, is first impressions, which of course, because it's not exactly a super new release, I branded it as my first time playing. So in case you're wondering why I said it like that instead of my first impressions of, that would be wise, because I tend to save first impressions for things that are particularly new. Owie. Problem is, this Fire Arcana already causes burning once it's enhanced, so I don't really want that. But I could probably take it in hopes that I find something to boost the damage of... Well, and by that I find the other half of the poem of Fiery Rhyme to boost the damage of Frostfaint. Oh, it's embarrassing. Oh, that sucked. So you're probably seeing exactly how this works, and it works kind of like some of my other favorites do. It just locks enemies in place so I can hit them with something bigger. So this spell and Wind Flurry have something in common, in that they're both very quick to cast spells. You can just launch them out super frequently because of their short cooldowns. Nah, I don't know if I care about Wind Sentry. I'll think about it. Now, when you're talking about this spell, the really big draw to it is just its super fast cooldown. And that's part of the reason why I chose a high tempo form build. It's because it is so good at just coming out frequently and when you need it. Then we talk about the lingering hitboxes and the idea that it's very capable of laying a status effect all on its own after it's enhanced. Well, that was just plain silly. What did I do that for? This is definitely a spell you lead off a fight with. This isn't something that you're throwing out to clean up, even though it can do that. This is something that you're throwing out because you can do so frequently and without much risk. I like both of these. I'm gonna wait to pick up the Fractal Flare upgrade, because I want to see what there is. Also, I completely forgot to pick up a Cursed Relic. Oops, I was going to pick up the Stanza of Flame, but I forgot. Now, one of the downsides to this spell is, of course, that it does explode on contact. And unfortunately, that does mean with just about anything, so you will end up catching yourself on a piece of furniture and going, "Why did you contact my spell?" And the furniture's like, "Bro, that's your fault, I didn't move." And then you respond with, "Wait, you're a piece of furniture, why are you talking?" Then the furniture looks at you and goes, "Why are you not?" Touché, furniture. Touché. I do also like that this spell has a deceptively large range on its explosions. take a risk. Alright, so robe upgrade is very much not necessary for this. Now, the one downside to the Mercenary's Dagger is that I've got multiple axes, and of course that's going to take more coins. But I think I can make it work. I just need to refrain from taking something that has a huge number of charges. Alright, not bad. Not bad at all. Ball lightning, do I care? No, but I'm going to pick it up anyway. Interesting. I'm gonna think about it, but admittedly it's not high up on my list. And the reason why is because even though it gives me very frequent... Sorry, I got distracted. Because even though it gives me... And there's that downside coming into play again, Jeebus. Like I was saying, even though it gives me very frequent signatures, it's also lowering the damage of those signatures, and the Ancient Fountain Pen will only offset that, it won't necessarily let me hit... Won't exactly let me hit greater heights. But I might just grab it anyway. Oh! Oh ho, thought you had me, didn't you? Well, you failed to reckon with whatever the hell it is I'm thinking about. I think he just lost all track of sense. Alright, so I can lay multiple status effects. What I would really like is to have the Hunter's Stiletto. Thank you, Spikes. Stupid teleporting rogues. I don't know, I might just roll with it. Like, I'm already up to plus 10. That, and it does actually give me another boost to my Curse Eater's Mask. Might be worth it, actually. Yeah, let's just grab it. I don't really care about any of these. Like, the Conqueror's Helmet is about the best thing here. Who am I going up against? The Electric Knights? But it also affects the Electric Lancers. Yeah, whatever, give me the Conqueror's Helmet. Okay. If it sounds like I'm not very interested in the run, that is not the case. I'm just a little tired. Had one of those nights where I didn't exactly get a super huge amount of sleep, so I'm just kind of feeling a little groggy, that's all. Oh, hello. Cartographer's Quill is good. But I'm gonna wait on that for now. Alright, we're killing it. Admittedly, this is working out pretty well. I may have oversold that damage penalty. Owie. That was a mess of a fight. Holy shit. One of those fights where you just got hogtied and pounded. Like, trust me when I say if it looks like I'm really glazing these control spells, it's mostly because I am. I do think that even though there's a lot to be gained from spells that are really good at just laying on heavy damage, it can be a real struggle to land those unless you have something to help you control the battlefield. That tends to be why I really like these more controlling spells. Because they make everything else possible. And it's not like the controlling spells don't do damage, they just don't do big boy damage. Like, big boy damage is what you have things like Knockout Boulder, or Exploding Fireball, or Tracer Barrage for. But, when it's time to make sure that you can actually land those spells effectively, that's what you have things like, you know, Mock Stunner, or in this case, Fractal Flare for. Dang it, Fractal Flare comes in that weird middle ground, though, because its cooldown is so fast that it can be used as an aggressive option as well. So in that respect, it serves a dual function so long as you're willing to pay attention to its cooldown, which, admittedly, it's so short that you kinda almost don't have to. Yeah, there we go. That's how you do it. This seems like a good time to talk about the inherent but small problems with doing a standard Arcana Spotlight series. And like I said, these are small problems, like we're talking about like first world problem sort of things here. And that is that, one, you get slots for 3 standard Arcana, so it's hard to make one stand out. But the other thing is, and there was supposed to be another thing, but now my brain isn't allowing me to remember what it was I was going to say, so I apologize. Oh sure, just blame it on your brain. You probably just are having a hard time thinking of things. Yeah, but that's part of my... that's the brain. I'm not making excuses, I'm just not thinking properly. Part of it is giant Tesla coils. I mean, who doesn't get turned on by giant Tesla coils, am I right? But the other thing about your standard Arcana is that they're the one part of your kit that isn't necessarily fixed unless you like go out of your way to not replace it. So they almost feel kind of dispensable. Like I said, very much a first world problem sort of thing, because it's not like you're gonna go into battle without one. It's one of the things that's most easily replaceable on your build. It's unlike your basic or your dash, which you can't even get rid of in any sense aside from to replace them. There are times in which you can actually just not have on standard Arcana, like after you use the scissors, or like after you trade it away for either Dr. Song or Nocturne, and then you choose not to grab anything. Like I said, very much first world problem sorts of stuff, but I wanted to bring it up because it is something I've been thinking about as I've been doing these standard Arcana spotlights. But that also inherently brings us to a whole nother point about standard Arcana, which is that a lot of the more unique effects within the Arcana library are on these standards that don't have a signature counterpart. And that's where you tend to see things like spells that basically don't have a cooldown, or spells that have an effect that you don't see anywhere else, like Stalwart Defenders is one that I really like that doesn't have any sort of a major counterpart. And yeah, you could argue the agents, sure, but lose gold every time you're hit. So that does not synergize well with the... You know what, give me that. That's just a good way to make sure I never run out of money for the Mercenary's Dagger. I can always pay my knife. A weapon you have to pay for. That's ridiculous. And actually, that gives me a good idea for a special weapon in D&D. A magical weapon where every time you swing it, it asks if you want to pay some amount of gold, and for the next attack, it gets some sort of bonus depending on how much you pay it. Particularly good for rich characters, and ultimately the definition of pay to win, but... You know, there's... The thought is there. I'm trying to come up with something fun. Yay, I missed! Hey, don't let the idea that I'm a really bad aim fool you. This is still a good spell. And also, that's one of the few times I've missed in this run, so don't take it too seriously. That's just what happens when you roll a 2 on your attack roll, and you just kind of go, oops. You know, and you don't have enough of a 2-hit bonus to make that 2 actually work, so it's just... It just kind of becomes, it's like, oh, I made a goof. Owie. No thanks. I kind of like... Well, hold on. Do I have something that I can use to... Maybe Shearing Chain? I don't know. I'm just not a big fan of Ball Lightning, but... The reason why I haven't exactly been too quick to just replace it is because everything else is working out fairly well. Well, I mean, now I could turn this into the perfect time crystal. So let me see. 1, 2, 3. Honestly, it seems kind of worth. And yes, we will grab a healing potion. And no. Alright, let's finish filling out the map so that we can max out the Cartographer's Quill. Okay, I'm... Yeah, my controller inputs were acting funny there. Not trying to make excuses, like, it really was that I was hitting the button and nothing was happening, so... I think that was just a mistake on my part. Didn't even get out of their first cycle of attacks. Alright, so in the long run, what is my final verdict on Fractal Flare? See, I like the spell, don't get me wrong. It is one of those spells that I do really enjoy using. But I think there are other spells that do its job considerably better. Like, I've actually been getting more out of Wind Sentry than I have out of Fractal Flare this run. And I say that not to disparage the choice to do Fractal Flare. Like I said, I like the spell, I really do. But it is also on me to be honest about my spell ratings, and sometimes, even though I like a spell, I can admit that there are spells that do its job better. Like, its really big benefit is just how quickly you can cast it, and again, not trying to disparage that, because that is a big benefit. The more frequently you can cast something, the more frequently it's doing its job, so I don't want you to take that as a I don't give a damn. Not even close to that. I love Fractal Flare. Like I was actually really hyped to receive that request to do the spell. Alright, that was a particularly good run, not gonna lie. And I had a lot of fun with it. And that is, of course, the most important part. So long as you're having fun with the game, and really making good use of your builds, that's the important part. So even though it sounded like I was really down on Fractal Flare in the end, I just want you to understand that that is not the case. Fractal Flare is a lot of fun, and the idea that you can throw it out so frequently does give it a really powerful use, even if that use is maybe a little niche. But in the long run, I suggest if you want to try it out for yourself, put it on... I put it on a high tempo build, but honestly, you probably get more putting it on a balanced build just because you don't need to worry about its cooldown so much. Like, I think you actually get more out of it putting it on something that boosts its damage a bit. Because no matter what, it's going to be doing the same job of detonating and having the, like, fractal explosions to hold enemies still. So why not get more damage out of those explosions? But obviously, I'm not the boss of you. You do you ultimately. But I am just showing. I was just showing you that, you know, this is one way to use Fractal Flare, and I don't know. I had a good time with it. But that is all for this episode, so thank you guys very much for watching. I appreciate you coming and spending some of your free time with me here today. If you have other suggestions for the standard Arcana spotlights, by all means, let me know in either the comments or on my Discord. I know I have one other one that's someone wanted me to look at, and it's an interesting one because it's one that I very readily dismiss, like frequently. So that one should be fun because it'll be a chance to experiment with something I don't use very often. So you guys look forward to that. I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day, and I will catch you in the next one. My name is Dark Sage Walker, and you take care, everybody.